But the thing is that's not the only thing you provide. You also provide care, support, things like that. But if I focus on any one of those, I can paint this picture very differently than the reality.
Yeah.
So in that situation, the reality is, yeah, financially she may not be showing up in the relationship, and that needs to be addressed. But that doesn't in any way invalidate another aspect or another facet of the relationship where this guy's emotionally a rock.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe this human being.
Yeah, I mean, if he's essentially a boulder, she's not really getting what she needs out of the relationship either. I mean, if she's constantly just has this blank wall, all that does is leave room for projection. It leaves all these ways that she can put on him all of her faults, all of her insecurities, all the things that are going on with her. And because he doesn't speak the hell up, it's very easy to think, well, maybe he hates me, maybe he doesn't love me,
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't listen.
And the emotional female is very prone in general to depression and anxiety, which causes her to create scenarios in her own mind at any given day, any moment, that something bad is happening, or this person doesn't like me because, you know, of something.
Mm-hmm.
And then to be in a relationship with a person that has no reflection of emotional interaction, she's projecting a ton of different things, like, well, what if he doesn't love me anymore? What if he's cheating? What if this? What if that? And then you get to talk to the guy, and he's like, none of that's true. He's like, and I'm like, but you're not communicating, so she has no way of knowing. So she's making up all these fictions in her head out of panic and worry because you don't communicate.
Yeah, I mean, speaking for myself, like as someone who's been through that myself, it's like one of the things I recently realized is I'm diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and so what that's a fun way of saying is that real easy with Zen, right? Very easy to see through the self with that. Not so great on relationships, right? Because it's very easy to project on people abandonment, right? So anytime a partner does something, it's very easy to kind of go into fucking crisis mode.
Yeah.
And so much like the woman you're talking about, so it's interesting because in every other facet of my life, I don't have this particular issue, but in relationship it becomes this thing. And so how do you navigate that? Well, I think you guys said it really well earlier, which is that through communication. Right? So I and my partner have to have very open, very clear dialogue and a very clear understanding of what's kind of going on, because lack of information is actually detrimental
Yes.
to my own mental health and my own way of being.
That's the client I'm coping with.
Yeah. And so it's like, on the one hand, your partner doesn't have to be codependent and constantly be giving information. That's where it can start to get towards abuse or start to be controlling. But it's like being able to create an atmosphere of trust and being able to know that what the person's telling you is true. Because I've been in relationships where it's been the difference, where someone will tell you one thing and then something else happens. And with somebody who is, you know, prone to immediately going either to you're the best thing ever or you're the devil. I didn't mean to do that on your side. It is something that becomes, it's something that is just absolutely toxic to the situation. It erodes any kind of trust, any kind of relating. And the relationship just becomes a shell of its former self.
Yeah.
So.
And what I find fascinating is in your case and in my friend's case, I like to be the devil's advocate in these situations because it's easier for me to be the objective third party, but I do care about the people at the same time. And they've been together almost 9 years, and they're still having these difficulties, and I'm like, okay, why are you still together if you're not emotionally available for all these years? Well, because they love each other. Okay, so if you know that much, then be more open in the other areas too.
Yeah, and I would argue that, you know, and this is where I get a bit cynical, is that, yeah, they love each other, but they also probably are comfortable in the suffering. Like, to some degree, familiarity is something we humans love. We love being able to go on autopilot. And so, like, relationships no different. And
They're
so
familiar with the situation, so neither of them want to leave it.
Well, because, yeah, it doesn't matter how much it hurts. If I'm familiar with it, I've gotten used to it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just willing to deal with it. It's like being in too hot, you know, bath water. Eventually you get used to it. Yeah, it still doesn't feel great, but, like, I could deal with this.
What is that theory about the frog that's in the lukewarm water and then you keep turning the temperature up and they don't know?
Yeah, you turn it up slowly, they just die in the pot. You turn it, if the water suddenly gets hot, they just jump out. Right? So we constantly are in this situation where if our relationship is toxic or problematic, yeah, we'll sit there in it forever. Right? Because we don't want to look at it.